welcome to Voice of the Unwoke. My name is Chris Smith, and today we're going to talk about gun control. I want to preface this by saying I am a gun owner. I own my second gun now. The first one was a 12-gauge shotgun. I bought it for hunting with my buddy Troy, and we went to his father's property, and he put me up in a tree stand, and I sat there and I was reading my Bible and waiting for something to happen, and all of a sudden I hear this noise, and I look up and there's this beautiful doe sitting in front of me, and I aimed my shotgun and I got ready to shoot her, and I just couldn't do it. I could not bring myself to kill that little thing, so I shot over her head and she ran off. My buddy Troy comes running out of the woods, and I said, I think I got her, because I didn't want him to think I didn't take the shot. And we chased her into the woods for about a mile and a half. Never did find her. And so that was my one experience with hunting. And my other gun is for personal protection. Now, the reason I say this is I don't want you guys to think that I'm a poster child for the NRA and that I am just all gun. But I do own one. And so when I look at everything that's out there, and I look at all the information that's available on gun control, it seems to me that a lot of people are saying that there's about 20,000 to 25,000 gun laws that are on the books. Now, of course, this includes federal laws, state laws, county laws, city, local ordinances. So the amount that, affect you, well, that might vary. But regardless of that, there are a lot of regulations on the books. And when I look at that and I compare that to, say, my parenting skills, I had a lot of bad parenting skills. My worst parenting skill was that I had a habit of making a rule if something pissed me off. If what you were doing pissed me off, I made a rule against whatever it was you were doing. And some people say that's what we're doing with gun control, is that every time somebody does something that we don't like, we make a new rule. And so the question that these people are saying, these people that say, hey, why do we have all these rules on the books and we're talking about more rules? The question they're asking is, with all these laws on the books, rather than spending millions of dollars researching new laws, rather than spending hundreds of hours debating these new laws, why don't we enforce the laws that we have on the books? I mean, out of this boatload of laws that we already have, couldn't we find a law that deals with the situation that you want to deal with, instead of trying to just make a new law at the time? Because like my parenting skills, I found that a lot of my rules contradicted rules that I've made before. And in fact, my daughters made sure to point that out every time they did. You told me to do this last time, and it didn't agree with what I was telling them to do this time. So I think we have to find the points, one, where we agree. And I think we all agree that there's too much gun violence in the world. There are too many people out there using guns for bad things. And if you just look at deaths by guns, it's pretty morbid. It's horrible. I mean, I looked at just 4 cities that I have to deal with on a regular basis. I looked at St. Louis, I looked at Louisville, Kentucky, I looked at Kansas City, Missouri, and I looked at Chicago, Illinois. Now, in St. Louis, Missouri, there were 596 homicides in 2016. There were 442 suicides with guns in 2016. Louisville, Kentucky, 204 homicides, 259 suicides. Kansas City, Missouri, 320 homicides, 327 homicides, and 375 suicides. And Chicago, Illinois, they had a monstrous 1,527 homicides and 620 suicides. That's a lot of stuff going on with guns. So when you look at these numbers, which don't even include the thousands of gun laws that were broken by people using guns in crimes where somebody didn't die. And when you look at it, the question remains, do we need more gun control? Or do we just need to figure out a way to use what we already have on the books to make people safer? You know, researchers at the University of Philadelphia, actually it was the University of Pittsburgh, I'm sorry. Researchers at the University of Pittsburgh, they got together with the Pittsburgh police in 2016, and they looked at 900 firearms that had been recovered from crime scenes in 2008. Now, out of those 900 firearms, when they went and looked at the people that used those firearms in the crime, 80% of the people that used those firearms in the crime did not have a license to use that firearm. It wasn't even theirs. They'd gotten it from a family member. They bought it off the street. They bought it at a pawn shop where the laws didn't make them register the gun itself. 80% of the cases. Gun control laws would not have presented any effective deterrent to 80% of those guns being used in crimes in Pittsburgh in that year. 80%. So maybe we need to look at, well, a stricter enforcement of the laws that we already have. Or maybe we need to look at our mental health care system and look at the fact that there are so many suicides. I mean, if you look at Kansas City and you look at Louisville, there were more suicides by guns in 2016 than there were homicides by guns. And so when we look at that, maybe we need to look at our healthcare system and how they're dealing with people that just haven't got it all together, and whether or not they should have guns. Maybe legislators and police and even victims need to become committed to finding laws that are on the books that can prevent the crimes that are happening right now, rather than when we have a crime reacting by trying to make a new law. Let's look and see if we have a law that's on the books that can deal with this right now. Teach the police what this law is so that they can enforce it properly and make sure these things don't happen again. And at this point, I mean, I've thrown out a lot of maybes, but I guess my question would be, so that maybe we can continue this conversation, would be, what do you think? I mean, what are your comments on this? What do you think ought to happen? How do you think we ought to be reacting to these things? And so all I can ask is that maybe you would comment below. Maybe you would just go down in the comment section and leave a comment. Or go to one of the links, go to my pages on Quora, go to my email address that I left below, and write back to me and let me know what it is you think. And maybe share this with some friends that have been dealing with this and say, hey, you ought to take a look at what this guy's saying, because he's trying to create a conversation about gun control so that maybe we might get it right. Maybe we might figure a way to take down the number of crimes and the number of deaths that are happening with guns. So all I can ask is that maybe you share this with those people, that you hit the like button down below, that you hit the subscribe button down below and become a part of this conversation that we're trying to have here. And if this isn't a conversation that you want to have, if this isn't one of those things that, like we talked about in the very first episode, really pisses you off, then maybe you write in these comments or send me an email of what it is that's making you mad in society, what it is that you don't like in society. Make sure you subscribe so that when I comment on it, you can be part of the conversation. And then we can get to all these comments in a later episode and talk about what it is that you really think is important. Now, our next topic that we're going to talk about is schools. And specifically, we wanted to talk about, are we educating our kids or are we indoctrinating our kids into a mindset? Are we really teaching the kids things that they need in life to be an active and willing participant in society and someone who actually gives something to society? Or are we just training them to march in time to what society says they should be? And so we want to look at that. We want to look at it pretty close, and I'm going to do some investigation and try to find maybe different opinions that are out there on this. Because again, it's not about my opinion. That's not what this is for. This is about creating discussions on the things that we don't like in society. So first of all, as we end this episode, I just want to thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for watching the video. And if you haven't subscribed, if you haven't liked, please do it below so that you can become a part of the conversation. And we'll see you next time as we try to become a voice for the unwoke.